There are only a few people in the world who have the ability to save the government from financial collapse and become rich in the process. John Pierpont Morgan is one of those people, but how did he get to that level? JP Morgan is one of the world's most famous billionaires and most successful financial service providers in the US. You've probably heard about the JP Morgan Chase Bank, and although Morgan passed away in 1913, he left behind a huge legacy that also includes his global banking company. This analysis of one of the most influential bankers in the United States would be interesting for you if you've ever wondered how one guy could earn so much money and achievements in his lifetime. JP Morgan created a name for himself by launching private banks and revamping businesses to make them more stable and profitable. He also raised funds for the industrial mergers that formed General Electric, International Harvester, and US Steel. Because of the legacy that JP Morgan left behind, he's remembered as one of the most influential figures in American capitalism. He virtually managed the economy at a critical stage for the United States, lifting it and preventing its downfall. Morgan's first job was an accounting intern for Duncan Sherman & Company in New York, a company connected to his father's business. From there, he transferred to Dabney Morgan & Company, where he grew his fortune by making investments in the post-World War II American economy using British money. At this point, he thought of retiring, but his father, Junius, talked him out of it. Instead, Junius set up a meeting between JP and American banker Anthony Drexel. Thanks to JP's partnership with Drexel, Drexel Morgan & Company eventually became the JP Morgan & Company we know today. JP Morgan fully admits that his ties to his family had set him up for success, but the real genius is in multiplying your wealth. Morgan told Governor Grover Cleveland, "If I've been able to succeed in the station of life, I attribute it more than anything to the endorsement of my father's friends." As a merchant banker in London, his father gave him JP exclusive access to the British capital, laying the foundation for his successful career. Rewinding back in time when Morgan was a clueless kid, his father made sure that his son had access to the best education possible. When his father passed away in 1890, Morgan earned an inheritance and his father's position in the banking company as well. This instantly increased Morgan's wealth. Drexel passed away shortly after, giving Morgan control of the banking company. But still, it was Morgan who had a knack for business that allowed him to make smart choices and forge new partnerships with more people that made him more successful than anybody else in his entire family. JP Morgan & Company expanded to become one of the most influential financial organizations in the United States when he joined Drexel's company as a partner in 1871, and the company took his name in 1895. Making failed businesses profitable was Morgan's most unique natural talent. JP Morgan even merged railroad businesses and acquired shares in each one to aid the railroad industry's recovery after the 1893 U.S. financial meltdown. He made out on funding for the tech world. Last April alone, JP Morgan started making teams of engineers in the bank's hub in Columbus, Ohio, for a new cloud-based system to handle over 2016, relying on AWS, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure, as well as its own on-site data centers that helped them save on costs by a huge margin. Sherman claims that this focus on multiple providers is because the company doesn't want to concentrate too heavily on one thing and wants to expand its operations and wealth, just like JP Morgan did. Plus, Sherman declared that he thinks edge computing, which analyzes data close to its source of collection, would overtake public cloud technology in 5 years. One of JP Morgan's famous quotes is, "No price is too great for a work of unquestioned beauty and known authenticity." But despite everything he did in the financial world, his lifelong passion was art. And in the early 1900s, he used his methodical capitalist approach to business to create one of the most stunning art collections in the country. The fact that he left us with something like this is just one more example of how his legacy will continue to live on. In the end, JP Morgan knew what he wanted, knew what to do with all the money he inherited, and he used all of his connections, top-notch education that his father made sure he got, and smart business decisions to leave behind a company that continues to innovate today as his legacy. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to check out some of the other content on the channel.